Hi, welcome back to Plot Twists and Puzzle Pieces, the channel where we drink caffeinated beverages, solve questionable puzzles, and dive headfirst into emotional damage caused by fictional characters. Grab your coffee, your puzzle board, your paint by number of a majestic woodland moose, whatever your vibe is, because today we're talking about Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. So here's the deal. This book looks all soft and sweet at first, like, oh, a nice little story about a widow working at an aquarium. And then, bam! It hits you with the depth, emotions, and one extremely judgmental octopus. We meet Tova, who cleans the aquarium with the precision of someone who probably color codes her sock drawer, and Marcellus, a giant Pacific octopus who is smarter than half the humans in this book and has the attitude of a grumpy old man who secretly cares way too much. Their unlikely friendship becomes the emotional center of the story. It's all about grief, connection, and the surprising ways purpose shows up when you least expect it. And then there's Cameron. Cameron, a walking, under construction sign of a human being. His life is basically a series of false starts and questionable decisions, but when his path crosses with Tova's, things slowly shift. Add Marcellus, the aquarium's unofficial therapist and full-time escape artist, and suddenly we've got a trio that absolutely should not work, but totally does. Picture the universe tossing a widow, a wayward man-child, and an octopus into a blender, and somehow ending up with the emotional enlightenment. It shouldn't work, but here we are. Tova gives Cameron structure. Cameron gives Tova a little needed chaos, and Marcellus sits in his tank watching it all like, these two are hopeless, but fine, I'll fix it. He's the cephalopod puppet master we didn't know we needed, casually nudging everyone toward clarity and closure like he's checking items off his end-of-life to-do list. Honestly, by the end it becomes very clear that the town's emotional wellness would be in shambles without the 8-armed life coach. And speaking of the ending, it lands with the satisfaction of finally finding the missing sock you were convinced the dryer ate. Tova's world slowly brightens. Cameron grows up like a houseplant finally getting direct sunlight. And Marcellus makes his grand exit, knowing he successfully rerouted the lives of two extremely oblivious humans. It's warm, it's hopeful, it's messy in the best way, and it leaves you with the unshakable belief that maybe, just maybe, octopuses should be in charge of more things. So settle in, because today we're diving into found family, unexpected friendships, and the majestic emotional power of one very tired octopus. All right, let's talk family, because this book has opinions about it, and not just family is who you're stuck with at Thanksgiving. No, Remarkably Bright Creatures is all about found family, the people who wander into your life and somehow end up becoming essential. Tova thinks she's done discovering new connections. She's basically living in an emotional airplane mode, but then Cameron appears like a human stray cat who just never leaves. And suddenly, she's got this new person to care about, guide, and occasionally give that signature Tova look when he does something dumb, which is often. Bless his heart. And the friendships? Whew! This book proves that your most meaningful friendship might not be with your coworker, your neighbor, or your barista who knows your order by heart. No. It might be with a grumpy octopus who can unlock doors, solve mysteries, and silently judge your every life choice from behind the glass. The friendship between Tova and Marcellus is honestly one of the sweetest, weirdest, most unexpectedly heartwarming relationships I've ever read. She shows up for him. He shows up for her. She scrubs his tank. He rewrites the entire trajectory of her life. Symbiosis at its finest. And then there's the power of Marcellus. Listen, this octopus isn't just a side character. He's the CEO of this plot, the maestro, the 8-armed emotional engineer. He sees two humans fumbling around like they're trying to assemble IKEA furniture without instructions, and he's like, fine, I'll fix it. And he does, with flair. He orchestrates secrets being uncovered, connections being made, and lives being transformed, all while managing an escape schedule more impressive than most heist movies. By the end, it's not just that Marcellus changes the story, it's that he changes everyone in it. He brings clarity, closure, and let's be honest, a level of competence the humans were really lacking. It's proof that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the least expected place, like a creature who could outsmart all of us before breakfast. Now, when you zoom out a little, Remarkably Bright Creatures hits you with some gorgeous themes and reflections, the kind that sneak into your brain while you're washing dishes or staring blankly into the fridge at 11 p.m. One of the biggest themes is healing, and the book reminds us that healing doesn't usually arrive in some dramatic cinematic moment. Sometimes it shows up quietly, in routine, in connection, and letting one new person into your life who shakes things up just enough. For Tova, healing comes in little waves: a late night conversation, a shared task, an octopus who refuses to mind his own business. It's messy, it's human, it's real life. Another big reflection is all about belonging. Cameron starts the story basically floating through life like a human tumbleweed, but by the end, he's rooted, not because he magically becomes perfect, but because he finally finds people who see him, challenge him, stick around. And Marcellus, he teaches everyone, readers included, that belonging isn't just about where you are, but who you choose to show up for. The book gently nudges you to consider who your creatures are, the people, or, aquatic geniuses, who pull you back into connection when you drift too far. And ultimately, the novel leaves you with this warm, resonant feeling that we're all connected in ways we don't fully understand. Sometimes we're Tova, all steady and grieving. Sometimes we're Cameron, lost and searching. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we get to be a little bit like Marcellus, perceptive enough to see what needs fixing, bold enough to do something about it, and dramatic enough to enjoy being right. Alright, so let's wrap this up here. That's Remarkably Bright Creatures, a book that sneaks into your heart, rearranges the furniture, labels the spice drawer, and leaves you wondering why more novels don't include morally superior sea creatures. It's warm, it's hopeful, it's weird in the best possible way, and it reminds us that the people who change our lives aren't always the ones we expect. Sometimes they're widows with impeccable cleaning skills, sometimes they're lovable disasters named Cameron, and sometimes they're 8-armed masterminds with a flair for emotional sabotage. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more bookish chaos, and tell me in the comments which fictional animal deserves its own book. Because honestly, Marcellus walked so other emotionally overwrought creatures could run. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time on Plot Twists and Puzzle Pieces, where the books are cozy, the commentary is chaotic, and the octopuses are always right.